It is said that pressure breaks the pipe. Unlike anything that you have felt, it is a invisible force of emotional tension. To some, they may know it as a seed within, described as a simple term as tempest, ever changing, volatile, but never calm. How you doing this morning? I'm putting this message out for somebody because right now you're weighing factors, you've seen things, and you're feeling a certain kind of way. Betrayal could be one, unloyalty could be another, fear could be another, but alone is one of them. See, unfortunately, this is something that it is found in what we know as being human. So I'm not going to take up all your time because all the fluff and allegory does not matter right now because right now you feel like someone has put a boot on the side of your neck and you're afraid. I know this message is for someone because right now you are on borrowed time because the way that you feel is impacting the way you make decisions and choices. Because, see, right now you have a fresh wound. You're coming to understand that the things that were said had no validity, but had just as much weight in the motivation and what and how you responded. First of all, let me tell you something. The devil's a liar, and you're going to be okay. Yes, you are. Right now, you might not feel what I'm saying, but let this be validation in the intended time and moment. Because, see, what's going to happen is with your consent, but it's not in your control, you're going to see the real you come out. No, I'm not talking about the person that has the vibrato and the assertiveness, the person that wants to be on 10 because they think that this is a platform to justify negative behavior. Let me tell you something. Number one, you're not built like that. Number two, you will be doing a disservice not only for yourself, but the people that you are connected to. How about the people you don't know? Because right now, this is a pivotal time that will solidify the direction of your legacy and how it's defined. hmm I know I'm talking to somebody right now. Yes, I am. I felt it this morning. I said, you know what? I could be in here washing my dishes because Gerald got to go to work today. But Gerald's up here praying in your behalf. This is your validation. Whoever this is, when you see this video, what is being placed before you is an illusion. It is nothing but an emotional marker waiting for you to make a decision. See, let's stop lying. How about that? Yeah, I know that sounds brazen, a little bold, but let's stop lying, because what's at stake is you realize that you have placed your truth, you've made your truth hostage far too long. You've made concessions and made modifications just to keep a certain clientele in your midst. See, what you're feeling is the residual effects of that choice. I know I'm talking to someone. Don't feel a certain kind of way. Receive what I'm telling you. That's right. Fix your lip. Lift your head up. Do you hear me? I need you to lift your head up. I need you to breathe. I need you to connect to what I'm trying to convey to you, because if you hear me, you will have to accept how precious you really are. No matter what's being shown to you right now, y'all, I'm just letting you know this is nothing but a scene. This is nothing but a platform in your life. So it is how you play it. It is in contingent on how you respond. I say this to you right now. More than ever, now's the time that you need to have that conversation with God. Because, see, what's kept you from that are the same things that have had an impact on how you live your life. How about those behaviors you've learned, those traits that you've picked up by the company you keep or kept? Hmm. You think that's by chance? No, it was orchestrated spiritually. I keep trying to tell you, what's at stake is your life. What's being revealed is nothing but a platform that will either uplift you or cause you to slip back. I need you to love yourself. I know some of you right now are saying, well, Joe, I hear what you're saying, but right now, my heart hurts. I can't believe they said or did what they did in the way they did it, and they had no remorse. It was kind of as if you were invisible now, wasn't it? It was kind of as if the merits that were shown had no weight. Now, this is occurring for two reasons, but I need you to be transparent. I need you to be vulnerable. Because I'm going to tell you something. Tough people don't heal, they sustain wounds. So you have to be vulnerable with yourself. Now, remember, there are people that are connected to your life spiritually, and the intended time they will be revealed. You may know some of them, didn't even know. But one thing's for sure, God does not make a mistake. And let's say this too. Another thing for sure is the devil doesn't waste an opportunity either. So there's the negative parallel, but it's the same. Because see, the devil already knows your life. The moment God created you, the moment that you took your first breath, your legacy was written. But see, right now, I understand that because I understand right now you're only hearing 5% of what I'm conveying to you because emotionally you're broken. Maybe you are starting to come to that truth where you can finally admit to yourself that all that ripping and running that you was doing cost you more than you was willing to pay. Sometimes things, the revelations that come in our life doesn't have to have a crescendo. Sometimes it can be very subtle over a period of time, but it should not be the price of your heart. So you got to understand something, y'all. That's what the devil wants. He wants to blacken your heart because he knows the more he can inflict, the more empathy will be non-existence. And where there's no empathy, there's no compassion. Where there's no compassion, there's no desire. And where there's no desire, there's no growth. And if there's no growth, what's there? Nothing. That's not you. That's not your story. But this will be your testimony. hmm hmm So she came out her mouth and said something very slick that cut you. Now, let me ask you something. Well, let me make this statement. First of all, women have had an ability to verbalize or project thoughts because that comes by way of the gift of nurturement. So, in other words, they're reared, their whole being is about emotion. That's why when they communicate, there's emotion connected to it. Why? Because it's a derivative of love. And what is love undefined? Chaos. I know I'm talking to someone. But guess what? This is nothing but a validation to get you to see your worth and the price to pay that's paid to be you. Not everybody's supposed to know your story. Not everybody's going to be able to walk with you. Not everybody's going to be able to hear you breathe. Doesn't mean you're being mean. That means you're on a different path. And that's also a display of what we know is change. Because we all got to do our work, right? Right? Because we also know, let's keep this 100. If someone's constantly giving you something, you're going to take them for granted till it's gone, until you're shown the contrast. And a lot of y'all might be going through that right now. You may have had somebody in your life that pretty much worshiped the ground you walked on, and they were the definition of what love looked like, only for you to squander it, to only see the opposite of what a want was compared to what was a need. But I'm going to turn this page real quick because I'm not going to spend all this time on this video because this is for you. There's something more bigger that is being revealed. And you can accept it now or learn it through time. The moment you decide to love yourself will be the moment you will start to embrace your life. The moment that you decide that there is something bigger than you, that's when your perception will grow. The moment you humble yourself down, that means be real with you. because you don't have control what's outside your door. I don't care what you drive, what you have in your pocket, or what you think you bring to the table. You have no control outside your door. Only thing you have control of is your way of adapting and acting. But I will say this too. Not everybody is going to get it. Not everybody is going to have a happy ever after. Not everybody is going to be able to embrace their smile. Why? Because they choose to not embrace their lives. They settle. They settle. And guess what happens? That becomes the capstone of their lives, and that is the living reality. And they suffer. They suffer. This is not to throw shade. This is to throw fact. Ain't nothing worse to see someone that you know suffering and you can't do nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because what you are interpreting, even though you don't want to accept it, or you do, it is nothing but a representation of what free will looks like. So it's spiritual. That's why when you try to come to someone's aid, that's why when you try to show compassion, that's why when you try to lend a bended ear, it's like you're talking in a foreign tongue. You know why? Because you have to contend with denial, not your denial, but theirs. So you've got that spiritual veil that's in between you, which will eventually divide you. That's why you always hear the same sayings. Misery loves company, and birds of a feather flock together. They flock and fly nowhere. They're stuck. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? You are stuck and you don't even realize you're stuck until it dawns on you how much time has gone by. Your dreams and aspirations have dust on them. We have to take accountability for our lives, y'all. You have to do it. No one's going to do your work. Why? Because that's your legacy. So guess what? It's like saying to someone, I want to build a house, and you have one brick. Sure, the brick will represent what's to come. But if it has no foundation to lay upon itself, you have nothing to build upon. And I think a lot of you are unfortunately going through that epiphany. You're starting to see the things that were willfully embraced. And you said, you know what, this is where I want to be. I got my foundation to watch that tumble down. I'm not making light of that. I'm not. Because one thing I've come to learn in my walk, every tear is a precious blessing, and tears wash the soul. So first of all, you got to master your pride. Some of you have been holding and harboring emotions inside you, which have had an effect to the way you perceive your reality, and it's cost you more than the investment. And you're at a point now where you're saying to yourself proverbially, I can't breathe no more. I'm frozen. You know what happens to people that don't want to admit? They become numb emotionally. We can use that as an analogy of being literally walking dead. You don't even know you're dead yet because you're not living your life. You're letting your environment dictate it for you. That's a travesty. That's a travesty. Because if you're spending one moment not embracing, first of all, your mortality, don't you realize when it's all said and done, ain't no coming back? So what's keeping you from growing? Queens, what I always convey to each and every one of you, I don't say it just to say it. I say it because it's a fact. You are God's gift to man. You are the wildfire, the wild flyer. You know I'm saying that because I was watching the news with all these fires going on. Come on, what's going on with our planet, right? Things are springing up, things are being burned up, and everything is going on. You are the wild flower for the intended. Your life has a bouquet of fragrance unlike any other. You are unique. There'll never be another you. I don't care if you came from a set of twins. Guess what? That's your DNA. That's your spirit. That's your heart. That's your body. That's your feet. And that's your direction when you decide to see your worth. So you're going to turn around and harbor anger. You're going to harbor negativity. You're going to embrace a toxic mindset of more or less rationalizing impulsive thoughts of saying, well, I can't beat them, Gerald. So if they can do it, I can do it too, because, revenge is mine. No, revenge is the Lord's. And I'm going to go into that for a second in closing. So right now you're feeling a certain kind of way. Some of y'all might be dealing with betrayal. Maybe someone of significance or someone that has a special place in your heart. You are starting to realize that what was being conveyed to you not only discredited your bond, but it also showed you how they saw your worth. You have every right to be upset, but it is your responsibility to process what is being revealed. The question is, will you do it? Because trust and believe, there are many of people out there that won't. They won't. One of the biggest travesties you could ever do is to embrace this mentality. To get over someone is to get under someone else. So you basically saying, hey, because of what you did to me, I'm going to turn around and rebel against myself and just be frivolous with the common stranger who don't know your middle name, does not have a clue of what your aspirations and directions are, that will never protect you nor show loyalty just to hear you breathe. But many people do that because they feel that, well, you know what? It's the easy route. Instead of me grounding my feet, surveying what has occurred, have you even gotten to that point of taking stock on what has occurred? Because if you have, guess what? Because God loves you more than you will ever know. You have no choice to admit to yourself the signs. There were signs before the reality was revealed. But it's human nature for us to deflect, to try to, I don't want to use the term unanalyze, but we want to give passes where passes should not be because it's convenient. How much is your truth worth? Is it worth that pain you holding on to right now? I got this feeling somebody's holding you, looking at your hand. You might be married. You might be married. But the truth of the matter is, the reality is you have to be honest with yourself and admit that that marriage was not blessed because you married with an agenda, or they married up because of what you brought to the table. So therefore, genuinely, there was no love there because God was not. But see, that's how the devil does, y'all. Do you understand? The devil is the greatest imitator that man will ever know. He can't stand by an original. But guess what? Another thing the devil will never do. He will be nowhere near where love exists, because love is an example of God. He don't have nothing to do with compassion. He don't want to have nothing to do with clarity. He's the opposite. For example, God teaches you to love yourself first. The devil shows you what lust and temptation is about. God shows you what strength is, which is found in you. The devil doesn't see your worth, and he gives you fear and impulse. He's the polar opposite. But we are human beings, but spiritual beings first. So let's bring it back real quick. Because right now, somebody, you have the audacity to entertain what would life be without you here? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You thinking that I have gone through so much pain and you don't think you can go another day? Really? That ain't nothing but them demons talking in your ear to convince you to destroy yourself. And anybody, even a non-believer, knows that's a one-way ticket to eternal damnation. Guess what? That means the devil wins. That's not your walk. Mm-mm. You got work to do. You got people to teach. How about that lineage that you'll never know that's going to come from you? Hmm? You ever thought about that? Because one day, if you do the work, you're going to be someone's great, great, great grandmother or grandfather. You thought about that? Look at where we at now. We live in the internet age. So guess what? This right here is forever. Mhm. I'll have lineage, descendants of me that will find my voice, find my name, and will actually be able to see me. They'll hear it from me. Because guess what? When we're gone, y'all, all we have to show for it won't be the materialistic stuff that we've obtained in our journey. From a literal sense, it'll be that tombstone that said you were born here, hashtag ended here. That's real talk. So you got to do the work. Now let's turn the page. Excuse me. You waking up this morning because you realize that the person that you said was your lover, your forever, was really an opportunist. You're starting to realize that everything that was conveyed to you was for you to digest, but it was for them to manipulate, and you feel like a fool. You know, there was a group that came out back in the mid 90s. They, to me, reminded me of a spinoff or the group Guy, Aaron Hall, Aaron, Damian, Teddy Riley. At one time, they were signed to a certain record label, and they had issues with the contract. And the manager uh, created a group called Basic Black. You can look them up here, and emulated pretty much what Guy brought to the table. Matter of fact, it was four of them originally from the group Guy. It was Aaron, Aaron Hall, Damian Hall, Teddy Riley, and Timmy Gatlin. And as they became popular, the manager and Timmy Gatlin decided to do their own thing. But when you listen to their style, that was Guy. That was Guy. That was so basically that was Teddy Riley. However, this group put out an album, and they had a ballad on there. And I recommend for someone, if you're going through, you're dealing with your heartbreak, your disappointment, you'll come to understand that really that's your breakthrough. And there's a song on there called Special Kind of Fool. Special Kind of Fool. Listen to the lyrics, especially to you, my king, because I got a feeling right now, you feeling a certain kind of way. There's a guy out there right now, and you're saying you found that one, and you wanted to try to move mountains to keep her in your life, and you come to realize that not only the person that you was emotionally connected to was nothing but a shell of the person that they really were. And I will say this, Queen, it's a compounded problem in our society because you have a lot of women nowadays that have actually taken on the role in the mindset of the typical man. But you don't want a typical man, because the typical man is going to break your heart and really exploit you. But the first thing they're going to go after is your body. I know I'm talking to someone because you're dealing with it. Some of y'all might be laying with one right now. You'll wake up. But needless to say, the song tells a story about a man who has gotten to a place inside his emotions that he genuinely loves this woman. And you can hear that no matter what he does in his actions, no matter what he tries to convey with his communication, she doesn't see his worth. She takes him for granted. And this stuff happens all the time. This happens, I mean, it happens, everybody goes through it, unfortunately. This is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. But I will tell you this, though. You lean on God. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The more that you lean on God, you're really leaning into yourself. And what makes you spiritually unique is being prepared. I've come to learn in my life And I've loved many. Well, I take that back. I've loved 5 women in my life that if you ever were to read, if you were ever to meet them, they were all beautiful in their own different ways, and they came in different stages of my life. But the one thing that they all had in common was this: they had a man that was a man that had morals and loved them. But unfortunately, the commonality on that is they did not see their worth, nor did they see my value. And God stepped in and removed me from it. Was it painful? Yes, very. Cried a lot, cried a lot because it felt like a death. But what I would come to understand was this: even though it felt like a death, I was actually being made new. I was growing inside and I was being guided in my life. Some I will always have a connection with. Will they hear my voice? Only God knows. But as a man, spiritual man, I come to understand this. Sometimes God will put you in your life, will put someone in your life, you or put you in someone's life to show them, to become the template of what should be accepted and not condoned. I know I'm talking to someone. See, there's no easy way around it. The two hardest things you're going to ever come to learn is your life and your relationships. Why? Because both of them require truth. Remember, I always use the analogy: you can fool them, but you can't fool the person in the mirror looking back at you, because that's you. That's you. And it's a beautiful you. But if you don't make a point to see your value, you can't expect your environment to respond in return. They won't. Some people know that as karma too. And I'll say this too: I've come to also learn in my life, in my journeys, that all things come full circle. They do. They have to. And that's spiritual. And the reason for that is, one, to see if you learned. And if you learned wholeheartedly, something else will be given. Another piece of the puzzle, another brick to step upon. But if you didn't, guess what happens? The faces change, but the scenario becomes more intense. I know I'm talking to someone. So here's the challenge in that: the devil already knows what you're going to try to do because they've already seen your life. So that dismay and that pain and that shock and that awe, it can be even manifested as abuse. Some of y'all are doing a good job masking that abuse, may it be physically. A lot of it's emotional, but you, for some reason, are taking a position to be a martyr. And I say this out of love because you have convinced yourself, well, if I endure, this will show my loyalty. But what you come to realize is you are teaching that person to give more. Because guess what? A real friend will protect you, not exploit you. I know I'm talking to someone. They only come around to do this: or do this. But guess what? Somewhere in that, you had to sign off. Somewhere you had to allow your guard to be suppressed. Some of y'all may be just learning what boundaries are all about. We all grow in different times, but we still got to do our work. Sure, I can use pretty words and descriptions, but will it make you feel any better? Perhaps. But I can give you some reassurance right now. The moment that you decide to forgive yourself, that's the moment that you truly decide to love you. And some of y'all are starting to go through that because I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, because this message is to reach the intended heart and mind, and I'm gonna reach you wherever I gotta reach you, because I know that's what God wants me to do. Some of y'all also learning this. Some of you had been convinced, maybe at an early stage in your life, maybe because of something that may have occurred and was the linchpin to cause this journey to begin. And you thought that the act of bracing your sexuality and your exploration was what love was. See, a lot of people have a hard time admitting that to themselves. But the reality is, no matter how pure that action may have been, the receiver did not love you because they did not love themselves. So let's turn this corner one more time. I'm going to bring this home. You're going to be fine. You're going to have to come to terms with some of the choices you have made. You may be in a season where you're starting to see the effects of the choices you have made. Maybe this is the ripple effect, so to speak, because everything you do comes back. Biblically, we know this as you reap what you sow. But whatever you sow, make sure it represents you. And guess what? You know how they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger? It's true. Maybe what has to die is your behaviors. Maybe now this is the moment that you will unconditionally decide to be still. But I know this too, because I know sometimes people just want to hear something and they just let it go in one ear, come out the other, and guess what? The cycle continues. It does. The suffering becomes more intense till you have no choice but to take a bended knee. God is not trying to punish you. He's trying to protect you from you. You might not realize that there may be people, even as your family members, let's keep it 100, they may have a demonic presence in them. They may be in torment and you're feeling their energy and it's affecting you. That's why you know, how many times you done started your day and you felt great and you're walking and then you happen to walk in a room and it feels like the air has been sucked out because there's a spiritual presence there. That's why it's very important that you love yourself more. The real question is, do you not deserve to be happy? Because I'm going to tell you what, all those examples and illustrations of those who have come to know your name, who have chosen to embrace a stolen interlude. First of all, let's be 100. You're gonna pay for that. You have to. That's why the sooner that you just come to grips with your actions, the sooner you get to claim your life. You can't run from you, y'all. You can't. But you see a whole lot of people doing it. These people are suffering in silence. And depending on how long they're around you, you'll actually see their torment too. Don't worry about what comes out of the mouthpiece. Watch what the actions show you. That'll tell you right there, clear as a bell. But I also will say this, and I'm going to bring this home. If you make a conscious decision to heal, mind you, there is no stopwatch when it comes to your growth. So why are you holding one? Why are you allowing someone to define your growth, your steps? They don't have to live your life. They should be grateful that they're in it. If you decide to do the work, this is what else you're going to see. And I think that someone needs to hear this. What will come about is your discernment will become very strong over a period of time. The closer you embrace God, the more he'll show you. You got to understand, God is a custom tailored God. He doesn't need your permission to come and go because he created you. So check your pride. Don't you realize pride and ego is in tandem? That's the number one tool the devil uses to destroy people's lives. Because there's no love where pride is. That's false security. So as I was saying, what will happen? You will get to a stage where time will move on. You will focus and start to be made new. But you know what else will happen in that journey? You will know what the word humility is, compassion, empathy, clarity, strength, love of self, and you'll also see how it's tied into you. Now, for those people who have been doing the work, here's your validation. Those people that were your captors, your abusers, your your antagonator. That's not even a darn word. Those who took fun kicking you while you were down. You know what's going to happen? Your validation will come one by one for each of them, and you will see snippets of their lives play out. And that will be validation from God letting you know how much he loves you, because he's going to show you the truth. No matter how painful it is, he's going to let you know. See, that's why you're not with this person. That's why they can't walk with you. That's why you are here now. So tell me why you don't think your life matters. The only thing that's occurring right now, in this breakdown that's occurring, you're looking at your breakthrough. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Look, you can't love anybody until you learn to love yourself. But if you don't know who you are yet, how are you going to know where you're going? Place God first in everything you do. But more importantly, it's time for you to stop running and loving yourself more. And I always will echo this until the intended heart and mind hears it. if you got some stuff going on, you've been holding on to some trauma, you've been carrying on a baggage of pain, why don't you go talk to somebody? Hmm? The worst thing that can come out of that is they validate you got yourself together and you're where you need to be. Well, they show you something new. The investment is you. Love to hear from you. Hit me with a like. And of course, always place God first in everything you do because you're priceless. Be blessed.